episode is sponsored by Race Tech, end-to-end IT solutions for your business growth.
Hello, Nisha.
Hi, Simas.
It's nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for visiting us in Vilnius, Agile Tour Vilnius as well. How did you like it?
Oh, it's been a wonderful experience so far, very welcoming. I've been in touch with yourself and the organizers before today, and it's just been like a wonderful experience because I've been prepared by the organizers, kept in touch every step of the way. It's been a very, very enjoyable experience, actually.
It's great
I cannot
to hear
wait
that.
to explore your city a little bit more over the next few days.
Good luck with that. That's there are some many interesting places and to go.
Yes.
But I'll share that afterwards, maybe after our conversation.
Of course.
So about the conversation, I was just there in your session about the empathy and how that's helpful or not within estimations for the teams. And that was really interesting perspective that you took, that actually how each of us within the team feels, each person within the team, it might impact the way we get the end result, because you might be hiding something and you might not share with others, and then you probably do a lot of assumptions about others as well based on that.
Yes.
And so that was really good, and that was really interesting. I specifically enjoyed the scenario that you drew with all the teams sitting around the table and trying to do the work. And I do wonder, so if there is a challenge with the trust within the team, let's say that we have a fresh team that is starting up to work together, and so where do we start? How do we build that empathy and the ability to discover any I don't know, disagreements or challenges?
That's a really, really good question. And I think Scrum Masters, especially new Scrum Masters and new Agile coaches, struggle with that. Heck, I struggled with that when I was first a new Scrum Master, new Agile coach. There is a misconception within the industry that you'll just put a team together and then somehow that magic will happen. It doesn't happen. Team need to sit and you can build, there's things that you can do. You can facilitate team agreements, build team charters. But beyond that, do you know what the magic point is? When teams take genuine interest in each other, they're given a voice to say, this is how I like to work. This is what's important to me as a value. So like, say, for example, you joined a team and you're a developer. And in the presentation, we talked about one of the developers, Jonas, right? And we built a profile of him and a manual of me. And he used that manual of me to say, you know what, important value for me is respect and self-learning. And I want to learn, I want to be able to develop my skills. And he's communicating that to the team. And immediately, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches need to be astute to pick things like that up, because them identifying opportunities, let's say for Jonas to pair with others in the team to amp up his skills, is a great thing. So building your intuition as Scrum Masters, as Agile coaches, really listening to the team, incorporating those team agreements. The other thing I would say is, and I don't think teams discuss this often enough, how are you going to disagree?
Oh yeah, that's pretty important thing. Like specifically if you're just a new team, it's quite difficult just to disagree with something. I mean, I don't want to make others feel bad, and therefore I'll keep it for myself. Well, inside I disagree with it, and what I have to do, I just have to keep it for myself. That was related to the exercise that you asked us to do as well.
That's it. How are you going to actually disagree with each other? How are you going to stay focused on those outcomes that you're gunning for? It's those outcomes, but how do you get over those disagreements quickly so that you have no hurt feelings afterwards, because you have that respect for each other? And it doesn't happen overnight. That respect comes like over time as the team work more and more like in close proximity together and stuff. I've worked with teams where, you know, people genuinely are a bit scared or a bit apprehensive, a bit anxious in sharing what they really think. And then over time it grows, and it grows because you foster that togetherness with the team. It might mean you do social stuff together, or you have some team lunches together in an informal setting, out of the office, out of from your desk at home. but people get together so that they can develop that human connection.
So what I find that usually within the teams, and specifically fresh teams, people are afraid to show that they are just humans, they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And due to that, I mean, it's really hard for someone to be empathetic to each other. I mean, how can you do that if you are afraid to share yourself firstly, then the other one person that you're working with is on the same page, doing exactly the same thing? You cannot work together nicely. There's no, so to say, cohesion probably that you can work it out together.
Yeah. And that's like the, you know, like two stones rubbing against each other.
Friction, yeah.
Friction, right? Eventually they become smooth. And why do they get smooth? Because there is that friction in the first place.
But
right?
they work it out.
They work it out. And so sometimes you have to let that happen. And then a Scrum Master and Agile coach can always mediate and say, okay, so, you know, and allow them a safe space to talk things out, allow them to see each other's point of view. That's where that true empathy is. But it's not really like just that other's point of view. It's what, like, say if you and I were like had that friction, it would be like Nisha would have to say, how must Simas be feeling to be reacting this way, right?
Okay.
That's what true deeper empathy is to really understand that and keep that space for it. But again, it's not something easy that happens overnight. You kind of need a few disagreements, a few bits of friction, and then you work it out. As long as you've got that feeling of safety, that it's safe to disagree, that it's safe sometimes not to see eye to eye. Because do you know what? Simas might put something forward and it might be a great thing, and I'm letting my ego get in the way.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but then you need to work it out, as I said, and
Yeah.
the ways to work it out, as well as you mentioned, a couple of suggestions, like having a team agreement to start with.
That's it.
Having a chance to work it out, I mean, outside of working environment, maybe. Go to the lunch together, or get to know each other as well as a person.
Yeah.
Or even there are some exercises even that teams could do as well for the trust exercises. I mean, they could work it out.
Yeah.
But the challenge that, or the question that I usually get ourselves from Scrum Masters. So what do you do if team is not interested? I mean, what people there, not everyone, but there are some people that are generally interested only in their working environment. I mean, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you do. This is my task. I do this and that. So, what would you suggest how to break that ice with such type of personalities that are really difficult to work with, to get through that, I don't know, human line, so to say?
I like that. It's a really difficult question. And the way I've tackled it in the past, I can only talk from my experience. It's taken time, and it's almost like chipping away at trying to build that relationship. But it's kind of speaking to the person or speaking to a member of the team that doesn't want to, sort of just wants to focus on their own and say, but if you're in a team, working as part of a team means this. It means spelling it out. So it means that collaboration. It means that you have to attend, the events. It means that you have to input, you have to collaborate, because that will make your work better. And be clear about what they are getting out of it as well. Don't forget, I come from a generation of people, a project and program management background, where I would meet developers years and years ago. And there's nothing wrong with this. Like developers who would say to me, Nisha, you just give me the spec from the tech guys and technical analysts, and I'll code it up for you. Just give me that. That's all I want. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because sometimes you need that absolute 100% focus to get stuff done. But then when you want to pull that conversation, pull that collaboration back to the team so that the team can understand what has been done, that's what's got to be covered with the team member who's doing that focus developing. So it happens over time. You can never force anyone to do anything. That's a given, right? But building that relationship over time, to explain to a team member, to say, being part of this team means that you do have to collaborate because you're handing stuff off to other people in the team. So it's a team responsibility. And you know what it's like in Scrum, right? The whole team wins or no one wins, right? So that it's a team sport. And so from that point of view, we want to be able to encourage others who might be a little bit reserved, shall we say.
Yeah, and resistant.
Right, and a bit resisting to come forward. And also, like, you just mentioned a really good word there. That resistance is key, because that might come from a genuine attempt to try something, but it hasn't worked before. So this person in your team resisting may not be just because they want to be difficult. It needs a frank conversation, a very trusting conversation with this person to say, why is it that you're resisting?
Yeah, what's wrong?
What's wrong? Have you tried something in the past and it's not working? And maybe they said they were with, maybe they, they were working with leaders in the past where they didn't feel safe. Or they've tried something and you're trying to do the same technical solution again, maybe 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, and they know, they carry the golden answers to why it won't work.
Just no one listens, and then they feel they didn't hear it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how many times that has happened. And I've had to have conversations. This is in the day where we weren't all remote, but I'd go into the office, I'd have those conversations with team members to say, why are you feeling like this? Let's talk it out. Just genuinely talk it out.
So what you're suggesting is more like, if that person is not opening up for the team, then have a chat with that person separately and try to open it up to see what was the reason, what's the intent, or what was the problem. If there's anything you can help with generally, as well as a person problem.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds quite a good advice, and yeah, I'm sure that many teams do struggle with it overall. And the other thing that I remember to mention at the beginning of your speech as well, that really leaders usually are interested when things will be done. That's the reason that's the angle of your conversation that you took it, that estimations are needed. And don't you feel sometimes that actually leaders are forcing maybe too much the teams to provide their estimates, and that as well might not create a healthy environment, safe environment, where, what I'm trying to say, the team might feel that they're committing to something that they don't know yet already. And due to that, it's like you want to try to help the team to open up, but someone from the outside is asking, please give me the estimates and just do the work. How to work with that balance? Someone is pushing to give the estimates, to commit to the work, and the team is just trying to open up, understand, work together.
Again, I've been through this situation, and you feel that pressure, right, as a Scrum Master, because you're often like a spokesperson to senior leadership for your team, right? And talking about the when things can get done. I think the teams that I've seen do really well in those scenarios are the teams that work well at explaining complexity to senior leadership. So they explain areas where they need to investigate, they need to carry out experiments, they have ideas of steps to take, but what they're not sure of is an end date. But they have steps to keep moving forward. Now, if any reasonable leader, if you say to them, this is a very complex problem, and this is the reason why it's complex, this is what the complexity represents, this is what the team has to work through, they will then understand it. But make no mistake, if you give an estimate to a leader, like I said in the presentation, at the end of 3 sprints, this bit will get done, this part will get done, that's not always going to go in your favor, especially when you're focused on a complex environment, because it's unpredictable.
There are a lot of things you don't know.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like years ago, we worked on a transformation project for a hospitality company, a team and I, and we basically were going to replace all of their transactional marketing systems.
Okay.
However, those transactional marketing systems, the new shiny systems that we were going to bring in, had to integrate with some legacy systems first. Not only that, the legacy systems were also changing and being upgraded, right?
So that piece is changing and it's interrelated with the other one that's changing as well.
Yeah. And the way I describe it sounds quite simple theoretically,
Wow.
but look, think about the integrations, think about the moving parts. And so I was working with a team then that said to me, Nisha, do you know what? We've tried to do this 3 times in a row and it's failed. And yet I was getting pressure to agree to a milestone on a roadmap. And the way I dealt with that was lobbying my stakeholders, building my relationships with my stakeholders, working with my team. Yes, I had to pedal hard with the team, but being really clear where those hotspots were in that whole set of integrations we had to build and say, these are the experiments we have to do across the systems to prove the tech, to really understand that payload coming through in the data, understand what we're getting and see what it could present to a customer from a marketing email. And it's once you explain it and say, these are the complex areas we have to deal with, they get it, leadership get it. But if you say, yeah, I've got like amber level confidence or green level confidence, or, you know, you give a percentage mark to get to that specific milestone.
And they have an expectation
and leave it that you hit the nail on the head. That's that big E word of expectation. Once you have that expectation and you built it up, it's really hard then to backtrack from that. So it's one thing I would advise is be mindful of what you're committing to as a team in those complex environments and be really clear where that complexity is, where the ambiguity is. It's like that ladder of influence. What's causing you to act in that way? What assumptions are you drawing? What conclusions are you drawing?
So be aware of why you are here.
Yeah, what's that data that you're pulling from? And do you have all that data? Maybe you don't.
So if you don't know actually what's piling up all together, like the things that we have discussed from the very beginning, is that firstly, you need to be vulnerable and open with yourself for the teams.
Yes.
But the same thing, the same pattern repeats up with the other problem that we discussed, commitments to the senior leadership. If you'll be open and vulnerable about the things that you are aware of or unaware of, it will help you out as well not to make I don't know, specific, clear commitments that you're not aware of if you're gonna make it or not. So once again, you need to be open and vulnerable with the knowledge that you have. And that's what we know, that's what we don't know. We need to do experiments, as you said, to try it on.
Yeah, do you know the book, The Coaching Habit?
Yep.
This killer of a question from that book, Coaching Habit, helped me in that example I gave you. And that is, if you say yes to that milestone, what are you saying no to? You're saying no to experimentation. You're saying no to team safety, because then once you've given that expectation, everyone's just focused on that. You're saying no to the right path, the right solution, because everyone is trained their minds to just get to that date. And that's the wrong approach. So that's a real sanity check I gave myself. And I also was brave enough to speak to the stakeholder to that and say, that milestone needs to be read until we can prove the tech, right? To say, if we say yes to that, we could be saying no to all of these things, and that will lead us to potentially a slippage.
So be very aware of what you're promising and committing to.
That's it.
Cannot be sure.
And use that coaching question on yourself.
Yeah,
when
that's
you
really
feel
good question. I like it.
Right? If you're saying yes to that, what are you saying no to? And you can do it in reverse.
And it's quite difficult to say no for things, and consciously probably we don't want to, but we have to.
Yeah. And actually, if we break it down and we think about these situations, sometimes we're not saying no. We're just saying not yet, right? We're still saying exactly no, we're saying not yet. Give us just a chance to experiment, and then we'll start achieving that clarity.
Yeah, and it's the same as not yet, because we are trying still and we are
That's
experimenting rather than.
Yeah, that's it.
It's very nice to chat with you, Nisha.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your very nice speech out there. And hope to see you soon next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Simas.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you.